Hello and welcome to marketing91.com. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on exit interview. Before we proceed any further, please do note that we publish 3 marketing and management videos on YouTube daily. So please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Now let's start with the definition of exit interview. A questionnaire filled by an employee while departing a company is called an exit interview in human resource terminology. Moving on to what is an exit interview. It is a way for the company to learn about the experiences of the employee leaving the company. All of the data is collected and used as a feedback to find out what employees liked about the workplace, the reason behind them wanting to leave, and the areas of improvement in the company. Exit interviews that are collected and tracked over a period of time are the most useful. Since exit interviews of malicious employees can lead to lawsuits, damaging documentation, or unemployment benefit claims, various companies do not do exit interviews. Moving on, why do companies conduct exit interviews? Exit interviews are conducted by companies to find out what employees think of their company, administrators, jobs, etc. Exit interviews can help comprehend the organizational situation in a company and in turn help retain employees and aid management. Companies can also find out if unlawful practices like discrimination are taking place in the organization, investigate further, and take appropriate actions. Moving on, how are exit interviews conducted? There are various methods of doing exit interviews. Let's look at the first one, in-person exit interviews. Every leaving employee individually meets an HR representative in case of an in-person exit interview. The advantages are, information about advantages can be provided and company property can be repossessed during the interview. Interviews can be individualized according to the employee and they can feel special. Detailed information can be gathered from every question asked. Moving on to disadvantages. In an in-person interview, employees might fear sharing delicate or harmful information. It might not be feasible for big companies to individual interviews for each employee. And finally, verbal information collected during an interview can be hard to track. Next, telephonic exit interviews. Either an external consultant or an HR representative conducts a telephonic survey with the terminating employees in case of telephonic exit interviews. Advantages of this approach. Detailed information can be gathered from every question. Data can be tracked by entering it into a system during the interview. And scheduling these can be easier compared to in-person interviews. Moving on to the disadvantages of this approach. In the case of HR personnel conducting it, it takes more time. Hiring an external consultant for this can be costlier. And finally, employees are usually unwilling to share negative or delicate information via this approach. Third method, exit interviews with the pencil and paper. A form is sent to the employee's mailing address on last day of employment for them to fill in a paper and pencil exit interview. The advantages, less time consuming compared to a telephonic or in-person interview. And finally, employees can write down information that they are otherwise unwilling to say out loud. The disadvantages of this method, only 30 to 35% on an average exit interview forms are returned. And compilation of these forms and the data in them are hard and take time. And the fourth approach, online exit interview management system. It is easier to manage since it is a self-service operation for employees. The responses are more truthful since employees are at ease with respect to sharing details over a computer. The data is tracked and compiled automatically, and the access to report is easier since it only requires pressing a key. Moving on, topics frequently covered in exit interviews. First, why is the employee leaving? Next, if they got another job and how the pay is at the new company. If the resources required for a current job were available, suggestions to create a better workforce, analyzing seniors at workforce, analyzing the strategy and leadership of the company, analyzing the growth and training provided, analyzing the culture of the organization and the team at work, analyzing the benefits and payment provided, and finally, analyzing the balance between work and personal life. Moving on, common exit interview questions. First, according to you, was your training appropriate and complete? Next, why are you tendering your resignation or what led to your termination? Next, did you get enough support from your company with respect to goals in your career? Next, what is your opinion about the administration and what do you think we should do to improve? Next, depending on what factors did you choose your new company? Next, would you prefer this company to other people looking for a job? And finally, would you consider continuing this job? Moving on to tips to prepare for an exit interview. While producing answers for exit interviews, the following factors should be considered. First, be unbiased. Your focus should be on the job. Instead of talking about particular employees, you must try to talk about the company collectively. Next, notes must be written down. It is easier to recollect things agreed upon and discussed between the employer and you through notes. It acts as a proof if ever needed. Next, non-verbal body language and signals must be taken into consideration. A few deep breaths before the interview can help you relax and focus. Instead of venting out during the interview, try venting beforehand. Next, concentrate on the positive when you leave. You might be perceived as a bitter or vengeful if you act too critical and informal. And finally, ensure that you mention that you learned through the company and the relationship between the company and you was mutually beneficial. Moving on, who conducts employee exit interviews? A study by Harvard Business Review researchers involved 210 companies with 32 superior leaders and 88 executive employees from 33 industries in around 35 countries. They discovered that 3/4 of those companies organized exit interviews for employees. Of those, around 71% had their HR departments handle the process, 19% had the departing employees' direct supervisors do it, and 8.9% delegated the job at the direct supervisor's manager, and 1% turned to external consultants. The study. Moving on, how to conduct an employee exit interview. Now, this is from the employer's perspective. First, provide a secure environment during the exit interview. Exit interviews are successful only if the employee feels like the environment is safe and they can give honest feedback. Next, acknowledge the positive parts of employment. The productivity at your workspace will improve in addition to you retaining essential employees if you acknowledge the good aspects of working at your organization. Next, be attentive and ask questions during the exit interviews. Ensure that many questions are asked during the interview and you are highly attentive. Next, appropriate and vital questions must be asked. Ensure that the most vital question to be asked to the employee is included in the exit interview. The reason for the employee seeking new employment must be pinpointed. This happens to be the most vital question to ask your terminating employee. And finally, filter the anxiety of employees in exit interviews. The employee needs to be informed that the information given by the employee will be provided to management in a combined format only after compiling it with other data. This will filter the employee's anxiety with respect to backlashes of giving negative feedback. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on exit interview. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. If you've liked the video, do subscribe to our channel where you'll witness 3 new videos daily. Additionally, if you want to view these videos in an organized manner, you can visit freecourses.net where all our videos are arranged in the form of courses. Thank you and see you in the next video.